Be the Good is all about people doing good in the world while following their passions. Good for their own souls and for others. I'm Kate Cherichello, and welcome to today's episode. If you are enjoying these stories, please subscribe and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. It would mean so much. You can also join our Facebook community under the group title, Be the Good with Kate Cherichello. Let's spread a little more goodness in the world.
So my parents had received a copy of the Princeton magazine over the holidays as they are in New Jersey. And when I was home, I was looking through it and I came across a feature on an organization called Sing Aphasia. Aphasia is a language disorder that can occur after a brain injury, often stroke. And I'm going to let my guest today tell us more about aphasia and how she's bringing together people dealing with communication disorders through music and community. So it's my pleasure to have the founder and director of Sing Aphasia and speech language pathologist, Dr. Gillian Velmer, here today on Be the Good. Gillian, thanks so much for being here.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, I am so excited to have you here. So first, just tell me more about who you are and what you do in your own words.
Yeah, so my name is Gillian Velmer, and I started out as a music major and vocal performer. Always thought I would teach music. And then somewhere along, my path, I was introduced to the field of speech language pathology. And I had observed a really good family friend who was a speech language pathologist in public schools in a preschool. And I observed her using music with her little preschool class. And I thought, that's great. I would love to learn more about using music to help with communication. And so I went to Westminster Choir College, which is in Princeton, New Jersey. And of course, when you go to choir college, you don't have prerequisites like biology and statistics. And so I started my journey to become a speech language pathologist and start my master's degree. And I had to start out taking all those prerequisite classes. So that took me a couple of years. And then I was able to start my master's degree. And I had always worked with children all my life. I was a camp counselor and babysitter and always thought I would work with children in some capacity. And then when I was taking some of my prerequisite courses and some of the required coursework for my master's degree, that's when I first took a course in aphasia. And it's a whole semester long, and you learn all about aphasia, what it is, some treatment ideas, and strategies for helping this population. And, surprisingly, I had never heard this term before. But as I started learning more about aphasia, it's actually not very surprising at all, because through some research with the National Aphasia Association, it's like a statistic, like less than 90% of the general population has heard this term before. And so, being introduced to it in my coursework, I'm like, this is amazing. There's so many people out there. There is an estimated 2 million people in the United States alone that have this acquired language disorder. And like you had mentioned, it's typically acquired from a brain injury. Most cases are due to stroke, also any other brain injury or a progressive disease in the brain. And so aphasia is a language disorder that can come from that. So a lot of times people have difficulty with speaking, reading and writing when they have aphasia, but their intelligence is still intact. And so if you think, it can be a really devastating diagnosis to get if you think about your communication and the way you interact with people is just completely changed after your injury or your stroke. And I was just so fascinated by this and wondered, can I use music to help them? And through my research, I found that a lot of times people who have had strokes and have difficulty speaking, it's actually, or it can be easier for them to sing. And, not going into all of the details about the brain and the anatomy, but typically if someone has a stroke on the left side of the brain, that's where the speech and language centers are located. So if the stroke occurs on the left side of the brain, typically they may have aphasia. And everyone is so different. Everyone's stroke is different. Sometimes, it does happen on the right hemisphere of the brain, but in most people, if they have that damage on the left side, that's how they can acquire aphasia. And it's usually thought of, the right side of the brain is usually thought of as the more artistic side. Like, there's music and art and creativity there. And, as neuroscientists are researching the brain more often, they're actually finding out that, music is all over the brain. So it's not just in the right side of the brain, but it's all over. And if you think about that, if you have damage in the left side of the brain and you are engaging in music somehow, that can compensate for some of those damaged areas. And so when people are listening to music, the brain is lighting up like fireworks. And, it's even better when people are making music and engaging in it. So not just listening to music, but when they're singing music or playing instruments, it really is so great for the brain. There's like so many, the happy hormones that go into it when you are engaging in a musical activity. And I tell my members of the choir all the time that, it's like a natural therapy, right? It's just like a natural happy hormones, you don't have to take any medication. You just have to have fun and enjoy yourselves. And so I really, started looking into that more and thinking, well, singing is so great. And there's speech language strategies and methods. There's one that's called melodic intonation therapy that was developed by a speech language pathologist in the 70s. And, that involves melody and intonation and rhythm, but it's an individual thing. And so what I'd love to tell you more about now is like, if you think about if you're unable to communicate the way that you were used to, it can be very isolating. And so people with aphasia might feel more isolated or depressed or lonely, and they don't have the same, social experiences like they used to. There's also sometimes when there's a stroke or brain injury on the left side of the brain, there might be some right-sided weakness or paralysis. And so that can really affect someone too. They might not be able to drive anymore. A lot of people are right-handed, so they have to relearn how to write with their left hand. And so, it can be a very isolating disorder. And all of that to say, this technique, melodic intonation therapy, has its benefits, but it is a one-on-one strategy, one-on-one method that people use with their therapists. And I thought, that's cool, but what about singing? Singing is at the core of my life. I grew up in my church choir and the high school choirs, and then I went to choir college. So all my life I've been involved in choirs, and I thought, let me really look into singing in a choir for people with aphasia. And at the time of my master's research, I really only found a handful of choirs in the United States. And I found some other choirs over in Europe and some other countries. But really, it was just emerging then. And this is almost 10 years ago. It was just emerging. And I did my master's thesis on aphasia choirs around the world. And what are some songs they sing, how many people participate. I wanted to learn more about them because, choir is great. And a lot of people love singing in choirs and singing in their communities and churches and schools. But, there is something different about singing in an aphasia choir. And I really wanted to learn more about that. So with the help of my mentors that had some of their own aphasia choirs, I was really able to learn more about them and how they work and why they work. And there's still, there's ongoing research now about the benefits of singing in a choir for this population. Personally, it's being in a choir myself. I know that, when you feel like you are connected to these people, you belong somewhere, you have that sense of belonging with others, which is so important for people with aphasia. And, aphasia doesn't only affect one person, it affects the entire family. It affects their social connections, their friends, their jobs. And so I think having a safe community where people can come and just do what they want to do, what's best for them. Like I mentioned, sometimes speaking can be hard and sometimes singing is easier for this population. And, that's very empowering for them. If they're only able to speak a couple words at a time, but then they're able to sing these more fluent phrases, that's just amazing. It gives them that confidence. But I also share with them that if the words are hard, we can hum, we can sing on a syllable. You can just move your body to the music, tap your feet, play an instrument, and I really want them to know that, Sing Aphasia is a safe environment for them where you can come meet new people, connect with others. And, our true goal is to end the isolation. And so I think choirs, for anyone who has been in a choir themselves, can relate to that, you have a community of people that are all working towards a common goal, and really, just being there for each other and being in a supportive environment, which is so great for them.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh. And it is so, like, the brain is so complex.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine the amount of research that you've been doing over the past decade with all of this. And your Facebook, I have to direct everybody to your Facebook page too, because there's a beautiful intro video on it where there's the people who are struggling with aphasia are speaking at the beginning, and you can see that their heart is so there, but the words are just having a little trouble coming, and then they all come together and sing, and you see the difference and you just feel the light. And I just think that it's amazing what you've put together. And I have a question: how did you get to the people? You start the organization, you have the idea. How did you find your participants for the choir?
Yes. So I, after I did my master's degree, and then I went on and I actually work full time in public schools. So I'm very busy throughout the week. And then I get to do my choir on the weekends. And I love it. I love my job and love working with my students and my members of the choir. And so 3 or so years ago, I went back to school for my doctorate. And I knew that my research on aphasia choirs was not done, and I wanted to keep going. And an opportunity came up for me to do this doctorate at my university, Kane University in New Jersey. And so I started my first choir there in their campus clinic, which was just amazing. So back in 2012, 2013, I had choirs running there. And I was so excited to go back to Kane to do my doctorate and get the choir started up again. And so we started it up. I was able to do some more research with them. And after I graduated, I knew I wanted to continue this project. So part of my doctorate was to do a project or do a final product. So the product was, some people did brochures in my class, and my product was a website. So I thought, let me see if I can connect with other aphasia choir directors and, figure out, if someone wants to start their own choir, they could come to my website and get some information. So I started singaphasia.com. And it had been up, for maybe a year and a half or so. And then the pandemic hit, And I was contacted by a music therapist in Florida. And, over the past, year and a half, I had continued my choir rehearsals. We were meeting in person. And then suddenly we weren't. And, as everybody knows what happened, we did move to a virtual model. But I was contacted by a music therapist in Florida, and he came across my website. And one of his members in his choir found the website, and he looked and contacted me, and he asked if I wanted to collaborate with him on a virtual aphasia choir project that would be on YouTube. And of course I said, yes, let's do it. I don't know anything about making virtual choirs, but I had connections to other aphasia choirs around the world. And I really wanted to see, yeah, let's try it. We'll get a few people to join. I'll have my members join, and, we'll see how it goes. And this music therapist, his name is Trent Barrick, and he is the owner of Neuromusic Therapy, LLC. And he is really I give him all the credit for the success that Sing Aphasia has had over the past 2 years, because I feel like without him reaching out to me and, wanting to pursue this ambitious project, I don't know if I would have done it. I don't know if I would have become, so known throughout aphasia choir communities, or just even aphasia communities. And, and more than that, like beyond the United States. So we put together this video and we recruited, and June is Aphasia Awareness Month. So in June of 2020, we started recruiting members to sing with us, and we did live Zoom calls with them. We sent videos and recordings and practice, and it was a wonderful opportunity for interprofessional collaboration, to be able to work with a music therapist who was using some of his techniques from the music therapy realm and using them with my, strategies from speech language pathology. It was just such a great time. And we recruited over 100 families to come sing with us, and 55 of them decided to record. And they recorded, and we had some friends put together the video that you mentioned earlier. And that was our premiere of the International Aphasia Choir. And so we're currently in production of our second video. And it has just, it really changed my life, to have Trent, with his idea. It just changed my life, because from that, I was connecting with people from England and New Zealand and Argentina and Hungary and Singapore. And these are people in our videos that, I never would have connected with them. And from then on, I decided, Sing Aphasia is out in the world now, and people know about us. And we decided to pursue nonprofit status. So it took us about a year and a half to, get a board together and write, all the paperwork and bylaws and everything. But we were just approved in November 2021. We were approved as a 501c3 as a nonprofit in the United States. So we are so thrilled. We're continuing our programs. We have the main choir that meets weekly, but we're doing songwriting club, history of music theater. We want to start having voice lessons for our members, and currently everything is online. And we're just really excited to see our growth and how we can keep growing, because really, ending the isolation is so important. And I feel like people who want to try something new, work their voices in a new way, work their brains, challenge themselves, but in a safe, supportive environment. People can join the choir from all over the world. It's like so amazing. And, we have our weekly rehearsals, and we have friends that we're based out of New Jersey, but we have friends in California and Texas and Michigan. And we just have created this wonderful community for them where, if someone doesn't show up one week, they're like, where are they? Are they okay? We miss them. And that's, my hope and dream is to just keep growing and keep spreading the word about what we do. And I want to change that statistic about, like less than 90% of people know what aphasia is, like, especially since there's so many people that have it. I think the general population does need to be more informed about what it is. It's likely that you may have come across someone that has aphasia, but you might not have understood what it was, or, maybe they weren't talking and you didn't know why. But, I would just love our program to continue to advocate and to spread awareness and introduce people to that, and know that, there's people out there that, want to connect with you and want to be with you and tell you about aphasia and the difficulties, because the truth is it can happen to anybody. Stroke or brain injury can happen to anyone at any time, any age. And, and being able to find, to find your people is what my goal is for us with Sing Aphasia.
That community, right? Everyone needs to have a community. I mean, it's the core of so much. So you're creating that for so many people. And that leads me to my next question, Gillian. Do you have any, everything you just said was a good news moment, but do you have any specific stories you'd like to share about people from the choirs that you've interacted with that have, mentioned about how their lives have been changed?
Yeah. One that I always think about is when I was on campus, doing my coursework, and I started the choir there. My first time I'm advertising it, I'm like, you want to join the choir? Like, I was going around to each of the groups, and like, there was this one woman who was like, no, absolutely not. I'm not going to join the choir. And I'm like, okay, it's okay. You don't have to join. And at the end of our first semester, we did put on a concert for like at the end of semester party. And everybody was just in tears, the caregivers and their, partners and family members and the clinicians were all like, and it was an emotional time, and we got our first standing ovation. It was awesome. And so, we performed for the group. It was so much fun. And the next semester I was like, yeah, let's do it again. And we decided to get back out there and do another semester of it. And the woman who originally said, no, was the first one in the door, ready to sing in the choir. And I just love that. I always think back to her because it just proves, like, when you're ready, you come, when you're ready, like, we're here for you. We don't want you to feel pressured. We don't want you to feel, embarrassed, or, we want to build up your confidence. And when you're ready, we are here for you. And so I just love that because, it just really tells you, the power of music. Oh, sorry. It just tells you the power. I'm so excited about music. I almost fell off my chair, everybody. It just really, it does. It speaks volumes about, and it's okay. We all, it's hard to try new things, and we're all like that. And I get that, but I want people to know, like, we're a safe place. And I have one more quick story I want to tell you too, is that just a year ago, last January, we had a new member sign online, and now we're on Zoom. And so, this person signed on with her daughter, and she signed off, like halfway through. And I got an email from the daughter, and she apologized and said, I'm sorry, my mom just felt like everyone was talking more than she was talking, and she just really felt uncomfortable, and I'm like, yeah, like I understand it's hard to come into a new environment and to try something, new. And it's been a year, and we have seen so much progress from this member. Shout out to them, because I am just so proud of them for sticking with it and knowing that there's no pressure to get it all right all the time. I want to create that supportive place for them where they can just come and have fun. And if the words are hard, it's okay. Sometimes the words are hard for me too. And it's just like, that's how it is sometimes. But with time and practice and determination, you can do anything, and I really just want them to know, like, it's okay if it feels hard at first, but if you continue, to with your practices, and you keep that motivation, that's really important. And I want them to know, and we all make mistakes, but I'm really proud of my members, especially this one in particular, who has just, tried us out and is just such a huge part of our Sing Aphasia family now. So it's I just love it. I love seeing that type of, like, you can see how people are changing and growing. You don't need to do fancy research on that. You can just see it, and you can feel it and hear it. And, that's what I'm really proud that I have, built that place for them where they can come and try new things and yeah, feel good about it.
And this is like a whole other episode in of itself, but the fact that, the arts has been so often like thrown aside or cut from programs and whatnot, it's like, but there's so many examples like this, whether you have, a communication disorder, whether you don't, whether there's, I've seen, autistic children join theater groups and their lives have been changed, the shy child goes to a dance class and suddenly they're in front and center. There's so many examples of how the arts can shape and change someone's life so much for the better. Even just from the standpoint of how you present yourself in life, it does so much for confidence. So, and I can see your passion for it too. It is so apparent. I love it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I love what I do. And I do, I use music in everything, like, right? Like, when you're feeling sad, you might put on a song that's either gonna, make you cry because you just need a good cry, or put on the opposite and make something that's going to make you jump up and dance and feel good. And like I mentioned earlier, all those happy hormones that are going on, and, the dopamine is so great. Like,
absolutely.
I always say, like I'm going to have a dance party after our interview. I always love having like a little dance party as like that release, right? And yes, anybody can do it. Like, anybody can feel good and find something that they love, some type of music or art form that they love. A lot of us have smartphones or iPads, and, you can access anything.
anything.
You really can. And I just think, find a way to express yourself. That's right for you. And there's, doesn't have to fit into a little box. It doesn't have to just be, what everyone else is doing. Find what's right for you and come join the choir, just have fun. And that's what I love. I love it. Everyone is so different, and it's amazing.
Yes. And are there any like mantras or Gillianisms you find yourself saying to your choir members during rehearsals?
Yes.
Favorite quotes?
Yes. Okay. So one of my favorite things to say, this is my funny one, and then I have an inspirational one too.
Okay.
But, my funny one is that there aren't any mistakes in choir, just accidental solos.
I like that. I think I'm gonna remember that one for my own life.
Right. Yeah. And we always laugh when we say that, because it's like, it's okay. It's cool. Like,
Yeah.
if we didn't get every note right, that's all right. But, and I also, I tell them a lot that you can do hard things. And I tell my students this too, because I work with students who are aged 3 through 10. And, a lot of them struggle with that mindset, oh, I can't do this. It's too hard. I can't do it. And we always say, we want that growth mindset of like, we can't do it yet, the power of yet. And I just think like telling them like, you can do hard things. It's, we can push ourselves. We can do that. We can challenge ourselves. And we're all in a different stage of life and in our recovery from whether it's stroke or, whatever it is, physical disability, mental, anything. We're all humans in this together on our different paths of life. And, we can do hard things, even if, you don't want to. I know you can. And so I tell them that a lot, like, learning technology has been difficult, but we have some amazing things coming up. And like the video that we made was just like, I'm so proud of that video. And that, the fact that they did that, they recorded themselves. If they needed help, they know where to get help. But they did that and they put it together and they worked on it, and it created this beautiful video that will be around forever for people to see and to learn about aphasia and, learn about how music can help them. And I'm just really proud of them. And I always say, and one of my favorite quotes from Walt Disney is, if you can dream it, you can do it. And that has been my personal mantra, but then I also think like it can be yours too, in the choir, this can be yours. If you can dream it. I asked some of my members, what are your goals for this year? And some of them are, I want to stand up independently. I want to start reading aloud more. I want to be able to write my name again. And, that's really powerful. So if you can dream it, you can do it. You just have to do it a little bit at a time and go at your own pace. And, I really, I kept thinking that throughout this whole thing, that like, I've never made a nonprofit before. I didn't know what I was doing. I literally have the book Nonprofit for Dummies. I've never done it, but I kept thinking that to myself, like, I can do hard things, and I will get past them. And now that we have this nonprofit, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. Look what we did. We did this. I'm just like an average person that works and, does everything else. And there's a nonprofit out there that is changing lives all over the world. And I'm just so proud of that, proud of, the people that have been with me through this, our members, our board of advisors, all of my mentors and professors that have helped me through this, and my family. It's like, you can do hard things. I tell that to myself a lot. So.
Some of those last items you mentioned lead perfectly into my last question for you. And it's a new question for this season. And it is, if someone came to you and they wanted to make a difference, but they didn't know how to start, what would you tell them?
Just start small, just take it step by step. I think, I have it here. I'm going to show you and your viewers, because I have
show
this
and tell
journal that I bought myself, I don't know, 7 years ago, maybe more. And it's these little hot air balloons.
Dream
and it
big.
says dream big.
Okay.
And I said to myself, I'm going to get this journal, because one day I'm going to put all of my Sing Aphasia stuff in it, and it's going to be an important journal to me. And it sat and it sat and it sat for a long time. And now I've got this journal full of nonprofit notes and, song choices I want to do, just all my like everyday thoughts that I want to do. I took it out. And so I think start small to be able to dream big, because if it needs to be a journal, like, okay, maybe that's what you need to get started. Have a journal, have something special that you can work towards and look forward to. And, just take it step by step. And one of our members in the video from the International Aphasia Choir, What a Wonderful World, says that, just take it step by step. And I think that's how you get started. It's, just put that thought down on paper somewhere, find your special journal. And if you can dream it, you can do it.
I love that so much, Gillian. Oh, tell everybody where we can find you online, please.
Yes, so we are on Facebook, Sing Aphasia, and we're on Instagram too. We are on Twitter, but I'm not as active on Twitter. So Facebook and Instagram at Sing Aphasia. We are also currently updating our website, and that is singaphasia.com. And we hope to be opening up some new forums for people who are interested in starting their own aphasia choir, which I would love to talk to you about. So if you have a community or you're thinking about starting a choir of your own, I would love to help you get your choir started. I just think that there should be a choir in every town, every city, every community for this population. It's a really special place to be. So we're hoping to get some more forums up, more information about how to start your choir. Some song lists will be up there, as well as some forums for people who are in aphasia choirs. So people who want to join a choir themselves or want to learn more about the benefits of being in a choir. I think, we're on singaphasia.com as well. So yeah, we're really excited to see how we keep growing and keep expanding our community and ending that isolation. And I'm just so excited to be here today and talk to you, Kate. I was just so honored that, you reached out to me and was, willing to have me on, because I love what I do and love the people I get to work with. It's very special.
Thanks so much for listening to Be the Good with Kate Cherichello. Whether you're listening on YouTube or via podcast, it would mean the world if you liked, subscribed, and or left a review. You heard about the good? Now go out and be the good in your life this week. If you have stories of good news that need to be shared, please send me a message. Thanks again, and have a great week.